Welcome back, fan of Leafy Hill Sail Along Sewing. Let's look at a nice easy pants that has the front, back, a double elastic waist, and the waistband and pockets. No zippers, no buttons. Less than 30 minutes sewing. I have chosen my layout, which is here, and cut my pattern out. And I'm testing my fabric. I have a 80-12 needle in here. This is seersucker material. Let's see how the stitches are looking. Nice. So let's get started. First thing the guy she tells us to do is to sew along these unique little pleats. That's gonna make the pleat fold in the front of the pant. As you know, I base my stuff first to see if I'm going in the right direction. We're gonna sew along these lines here and stop at the circle and open that pleat up and press and then sew across the pleat. And it's gonna look like that on the front of your pant. It creates a pleat. Okay, so the instruction says to make the pleat on the front, bring the edges together, right sides together, matching dots and seam lines, based, stitch along seam lines from upper edge to dot. So we bring our fold lines. This is to make the pleat. Bring our fabric together, right sides together. We're gonna stitch base first all the way down the line, the seam line. Then we're gonna machine stitch from the top edge to the dot, opening up our fabric to make the pleat. We're gonna make this flat like that, pressing, and then stitch from this side to the dot and from the fold of that side to the dot, and that will make our pleat look like that when we're done. So starting at the dot, we're gonna back stitch, and we're gonna bring the seam right on up that line. You should have copy or trace that line for the pleat. That's our first pleat. Let's do the other. So this is what we just created, these two little pleats here. This is the front, and this is the inside view. Now, an instructional guide wants us to sew or baste across here. Let's do that. So after we had made our pleat flat, it says to sew from one folded edge to the dot on each side without sewing across your front. And when you do that, it's gonna look like this. You take your fabric, your pleat, come from one folded end to the dot, which is in the center, and do the other side from this fold to the dot, keeping the front of your fabric free. There are no stitches on the front. It's just on your fold. And of course, basting stitches has to come out. So the next step is removing your basting stitches. Basting stitches is the longest stitch on your sewing machine, but I hand basted it. In any case, basting stitches have to be removed from the project. They're just there to hold your fabric in place temporarily. And the outfit of the day is New Look 6815. It was also an easy project. So if you want to check that out, go look at Learn to Sew, Skill Building Saturdays. And if you want to go even further with your measurements and get the pattern to fit your body, look at Don't Skip This Video. It's a sewing video of how to read a pattern. So after you complete making your pleat, this is how your garment is going to look on the front side or the right side of the pants. Let's move on. So the next step the guide is telling us to do is to work with the pockets, but I'm not doing pockets. So we're moving on to the next part of the instructional guide. And the next part is inner leg and center seams. So we're going to sew pin front to back at inner leg seams matching notches with right sides together, pin center. With right sides together, pin center seam matching inner leg seams and notches. Stitch. Wait a minute, something. They didn't say stitch this. They just said pin front and back at inner leg seams matching notches with right sides together. But as you can see, it's stitched. So let's do that. So I'm sewing the inner leg, one of the first inner leg. So here's how the seam is looking for the inner leg. And it actually doesn't say to sew it on the pattern. So some things are missing. So you have to use your own sense and look at the pictures to get the best result. So this is the inside result of the inner leg stitched up. And this is how the inner leg is looking on the right side of your fabric. Let's move on. And what is it saying? The next thing is the crotch. Let me flip this leg back inside out. And we're gonna sew the crotch. Grab your inner seams and with your front meeting and your back, gonna sew along here, across here to here twice. But before I do that, I'm gonna serge my edges on my seams, and that is what you call finishing your seams. And there are other ways and methods of finishing seams. You don't have to have a serger. So the crotch of the pants is completed. We've sewn from one side from front to back, and I finished the edges with serging, and that's looking like this. Now we're moving on to the pockets. The guide tells us to pin the pockets right sides together on the side seams front and back and stitch 3/8 of an inch. Stitching 3/8 of an inch, first stitch line plus, we're gonna have to understitch the front pocket only. So now we're gonna do the side seam in the pocket and one seam. There's circles here, stitch here, go over to your pocket at the circle, go around the pocket and down the side seam. We have reached our dot. Let's see if we over enough. And we are. So now we have sewn the pockets on and the side seams. I have clipped the back edges of the end of the pockets. Now we just have to press and trim our seams and finish them. Here are the pockets, side seam, pockets, pleats, and pocket. Now we finish our seams and move on to the next step. So we're down to the wire on our simple, easy, beginner-friendly pant. We're at the point of the waist, double elastic waistband. So the waistband has circles where you sew from one circle point to another, leaving space to insert your elastic. In the other side, you're just gonna sew across your size. And the stitch line, you have to sew across the elastic. You have to sew across the pant after you attach the waistband to it. And it's a good thing to, I've marked my waistband. I'm sewing the stitch line because after you sew the waistband on, you fold it over and then you do sew your stitch line. Okay, so I have sewn my waistband ends together. I've finished the bottom portion of the facing or waistband. I sewn it to the pants and I finished the edge just with some scissors because I don't want all that bulk from serging. Then I folded it down and pressed it. Here are your peepholes for inserting your elastic. And I also base the stitching line for the elastic, creating the place for the elastic to run through. So let's sew our stitch line. Okay, these stitch lines have been sewn in. The elastic has been inserted through the waistband. Now we have to sew the ends of the elastic up so they won't come apart. Next will be the hem. The pant leg have been serged, and I also closed up slip stitched the waistband, and I added my label to the waistband as well. So the pants are ready to be hemmed, and that's it for these easy sewing pants.